It's not an oval, but it's not a road course. It's the Charlotte Roval, and we get you set for it with our best bets and DFS tiers. Let's go. It's the back road coming right at you.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checker flag. That's all this race is.
Two from the stage.
All right, and welcome into the back road in between media's NASCAR betting and DFS program. I am solo, at least for the beginning of tonight's show, but I'm pumped to be here with y'all to talk about the Roval. I absolutely love the Charlotte Roval, one of my favorite tracks to bet on the entire slate of the season. We hit big on Dinger last season. Hopefully, we can do it again for you tonight. Don't love what we've been getting from the book so far this week. They've done a really nice job of not putting out too much value in various markets, but I'm still going to do our best to make the best of it. We only have a couple races left in the NASCAR Cup Series season and the Xfinity Series season as well. Just saw the Northern Lights outside for the first time, so I'm absolutely fired up. I got a Busch Light here ready to hang out with the IBT family. Tonight, we are going to react to Talladega. I'm also going to break down the Roval, tell you what you need to know from a trends and a comparison standpoint as well. I'll get into my best bets later in the show, and we'll round it out with the DFS rankings and tiers. And before we get going, I want to tell you about our new NASCAR DFS projections tool that we have over at inbetweenmedia.com. Just head over there to inbetweenmedia.com. It's right on the side rail. It's also up in the menu there as well. It's a new tool. We're working with Highline Betting on this, and it's helped make me a better NASCAR DFS player and a little bit of a gambler as well. So make sure you're checking that out. It's updated each and every weekend after qualifying. Highline does a great job with that, really laying out like what do these drivers need to do to return value at their current salary. As noted, I want to shout out the IBT family for joining us tonight. As always, looks like we had Marcus ready to go. He's ready. He's ready here with a little Chris Bell win potentially this weekend. What's up, Marcus? Good to see you. Asking who your picks are for the Charlotte Roval this weekend. Yeah, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Who are you guys picking? Who do you think goes to victory lane in this one? I want to hear from you. We also got Kush hanging out with us as well. What's up, Kush? Good to see you here, man. Saying Bill or Elliott to win this weekend. Yeah, I like Billy Byron a lot. Don't like the numbers we're getting on him currently, but I think William Byron is going to be a weapon this weekend as well. And before we get going as well, I did just want to shout out my condolences to everyone who's been impacted around the entire country with this severe weather we've been dealing with here in the U.S. the last couple of weeks here. Hurricane Helene devastated the Western Carolina area, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, you name it. And just as they're kind of recovering here, Hurricane Milton comes in last night in Florida. So I hope everyone's staying safe out there. If there's any way we can help, please let us know. I know there's various nonprofits you can donate to. You can donate to the Red Cross as well. But let's just keep helping out. Let's just keep those people in our prayers and thoughts, because it's a tough time out there, man. And I know for a lot of people, things that we love, like football, like racing, like golf, like entertainment, it's all kind of on the back burner right now as people continue to try to rebuild their lives and put their best foot forward. So we're thinking about you guys and gals down there in all those affected areas. And we hope you guys can come back better and stronger than ever from this. But let's go ahead. Let's get things ready here in the rear view and close the book on the final super speedway race of the season, Talladega. All right, it was Talladega weekend, and man, what a tough weekend for the gambler. I felt like it's really been a really hard thing for me all season to bet these super speedways and come out profitable. Daytona, Atlanta, I was able to at least break even at those tracks this season. Dega, not the case, man. And in the truck series, we did see Grant Enfinger punch his way to the championship 4. That was great to see. We have an 18-1 ticket on Grant right now. He's down to 5-1 to win the championship. So to have that going into Phoenix feels really good in our back pocket. We did our truck series and Xfinity series future episode over the off season or over that break for the Olympics. And that's when I went on Grant there and was really happy to see him punch his ticket there. So excited to see what we kind of get here for the rest of the truck series. We know Corey Heim, Christian Eckes, Ty Majeski, they're all going to be tough to beat at Phoenix, but Grant's a veteran out there. So shout out to Grant. Was really happy to see him get it done there. Also, shout out to Sammy Smith, who goes from last in the Xfinity Series standings all the way up to the next round. He punched his ticket for the round of 8 there in Xfinity, so congrats to him. Also, some really good runs from people like Ryan Sieg. You love to see it. Riley Herbst, again, back in that top 5. So, really cool Xfinity Series race. And we got to talk about it, guys. The Cup Series race, it was underwhelming. Shout out Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He got it done here once again. Fourth super speedway race for him in his career that he has taken home. 2 at Talladega, 2 at Daytona now. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr., always worth a little bit of a flyer. I think us here at the Backroad, I think us here at In Between Media as a whole, and my friends over at Betting Pros probably should have been a little more keen to Stenhouse coming in here. He was number 1 in the total speed rankings at Talladega last week. So that's on me, man. I should have bet Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but honestly, he shouldn't have won this race. If we're going to be straight up honest with you about it, guy had a huge fucking hole in the side of his car. And when foam is missing, the rule in NASCAR is you have to come down pit road. You have to replace that. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he kind of got away with one, as did people like Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, who I'm sure you guys, if you've been paying attention to any of the media coverage post Talladega, people are up in arms about it, man. They got to go back on a pit road and repair their cars after getting spun out and after needing assistance from the wrecker crew to get there. I'm just not cool about that, man. Like, I get it. Like, common sense kind of prevails here. In this case, is kind of what NASCAR is saying, how they're defending that situation. But it's really like calling the pot calling the kettle black there, because the week before, Josh Berry, he's out of the race early, just has a couple flats. He's not allowed to repair his car. We saw something similar with Ryan Blaney a couple weeks ago at the start of the playoffs as well. So I think bottom line, like, I don't need to get into it too much. There are a lot of weird calls that kind of happen in this race. But let's just clean it up, NASCAR. I think we all want a fair and competitive field. We saw a lot of people, and a lot of drivers just kind of be able to take advantage of some of this fuckery there from the NASCAR officiating. So look, I get it's a sport. You're not always going to have 100% officiating. We got Thursday Night Football happening as we're live tonight, and I'm sure there's going to be some officiating mess ups there as well. But come on, let's clean it up. Let's have consistency in the rules here. And like, this is the stuff where people get on their tinfoil hats and say, "Oh, you want Chase Elliott to advance?" Because I mean, look, it paid off for him. It paid off for Alex Bowman. So a real big bummer there. It was cool to see some 4 wide racing, but it just isn't interesting enough, honestly, at some of these super speedways right now. I think Atlanta, very racy, very fun track. But Talladega and Daytona, they're just not doing it right now. Like, you're getting close finishes at the end. I think it was about a 1/6 of a second difference there, or maybe a 1/6 of 100. I can't remember specifically, but either way, very tight finish, but not a good race. Like, I voted no in Jeff Gluck's poll, and I'm usually a yes voter because I'm usually, pretty easy to please, honestly. But it was a tough one, man. It was a tough watch, and hopefully NASCAR can clean this up here the next time we get back to super speedways next season. Let's clean up the officiating a little bit. Let's make a little bit more conscious decisions out there too. So excited to see what happens there. We did cash a couple bets. We did hit our Carson Hocevar top 20 that we parlayed with the Indiana money line there. That was a nice hit for us as well. We did hit a matchup, Todd Gilliland over Josh Berry. Todd had a great race, kind of fell out of there late, but Josh Berry was involved in one of those big crashes as well. So not a great day for me, honestly, down 4.5 units from it. I hate fucking betting super speedways. I need to stop betting super speedways, but I love the top 20 market. I love to lead a lap market, some of those funky ones. So I think that's really where I'll try to continue investing in, is kind of some of those weirder markets, maybe laying down a tenth of a unit on someone that I think could maybe win the race. But I went in like a half unit on Blaney to win. I went on a half unit on Chase Elliott as well. And like, probably just not the best bets looking back with what their prices were, closer to 12-1 and such. So, egg on my face a little bit. I think we can continue to do better as a NASCAR community as well at these super speedways. But overall, man, I'm excited to be done with the drafting tracks this season. We can kind of get back to some regular racing here, including this weekend. As we jump into one of my favorite tracks, as I mentioned, it is the Charlotte Roval. Let's talk about it here a little bit in the Horizon Forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
All right, we're going to the Charlotte Roval, folks, and I'm excited for this one. I really am. I don't like what the books are giving us, but the Charlotte Roval, not only is it a 17-turn unique road course oval hybrid, but it was also redesigned this year, which I think is going to be really cool. Brings in some different elements of it. The people down there at Charlotte, as they have to say, they're saying, hey, look out, because this is going to be a totally different track that we're kind of going to here, especially in the playoffs. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the map here. This is courtesy of our friends over at Racing America on Sports Illustrated that you can check out. So here's just kind of a little bit look of the layout here. Turn one, a little bit wider of a turn, a little bit different there when you're going into 6 and 7. That's kind of the big difference here, 6 and 7. Before, you're kind of getting a long scaping turn. Now you're getting almost a 90-degree turn in turn 7 there. So I think that's very, very important, because you're going to want cars who are good on short tracks, who are good at heavy braking, people who are traditionally good at places like COTA, Martinsville, all the way back to the Coliseum as well. Like, that turn 7 is going to be very hard on some of these brake rotors. So equipment's going to matter, I think, a little bit more here at the Charlotte Roval as well, which will be exciting. And, it kind of throws doubt on some of these guys that I want to get invested in, like the Joe Gibbs Racing guys, because we've seen a lot of failure. That's been more engine performance, TRD related, more than brake pads and rotors this season, but still hard to really trust them here at this track. Colleague Racing, too. We know Shane van Gisbergen, the favorite in this race, is going to be on that number 13 car. He's taking the third tertiary car, the part-time crew and car for Colleague Racing there, and that scares the shit out of me. I bet heavy on AJ Allmendinger for a top 10 at Watkins Glen, where he's been tremendous. He's been tremendous on road courses all season. Didn't even get going in that race because this car had some issues. So I am worried that with Colleague Racing's, lack of dependability with their cars, same with Joe Gibbs Racing, that it takes out me from wanting to bet a lot of these guys that I think should be considered the favorites. So going out more into this track, a couple of the other changes here. Looks like they did move turn 10, 11, and 12 in a little bit as well. Made that a little bit more of a steeper chicane there. So a little more braking again there. So really cool for NASCAR to continue to kind of change things up here with the Roval. I know people don't like the Roval. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments below. Do you guys like the Roval? Is this a track you enjoy? Because it's unique. I do love Charlotte, especially like I would be fine if we keep the Roval, but if we also bring another Charlotte date back, because Charlotte's been so damn fun, and we didn't even get the full thing this year in the 600 as well. Bob saying turn 1 is a wreck fest. I mean, turn 7. It could be. It absolutely could be. Kind of reminds you of that COTA turn 1, Bob. So I totally get what you're saying there. I will say, at least they have 6 turns to sort it out before they go in there. So it's not like COTA where they're just going to go in, plow into each other, try to get the best line. But, I am excited. Like, I think at least it is different, but it will be, it will be some wrecks there. So it's something to keep in mind as well. And I think overall, it's just a good message kind of there from Bob in general. Like, this is a race. While we're excited, I've been hyping it up all episode already. We're 14 minutes in. I think I've said the word excited probably 15 times, because I just love road course racing in NASCAR. But at the same time here, this is one, let's keep our heads on a swivel. I'm going to be betting a ton after practice and qualifying, potentially. Don't have a ton of bets down on my card so far this season, but I am. I feel like we do have to just be cognizant of this. That this is a new track. These teams need to get adjusted to it, and we really have no primary comparisons to this track in general as well. When it comes to the Roval, it is a unique track, as we mentioned. The secondary comps that we can look at, we have no primary comps. The secondary comps, we have Coda, Sonoma, Chicago Street, and the Glen. And really, the road courses have kind of dwindled on the Cup Series schedule a little bit over the last couple weeks or last couple seasons here. So don't have a ton of comps to go off, but we do have some. Looking at the schedule here for the weekend, Saturday, the action gets going at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, Cup practice and qualifying there. We're going to have two different sessions as usual. Then we'll have the qualifying. Qualifying is going to be very important here. I'll talk about that in the trends here in a second. 6:45 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday night. That's the Xfinity Series race. Drive for the Cure 250. I didn't want to do anything like this weekend. I was trying to figure out my plans a little bit. I wanted to get out of the house, maybe hit some sticks, maybe hit some golf balls with the boys. And I was like, I want to get out early because we got a great college football slate at night and in the afternoon, as well as this race. So make sure you guys get your apple picking, your corn mazes, whatever you're doing with the significant others. Make sure you guys get that in early on Saturday, because that's going to be some appointment television as SVG tries to lock himself into the next round and goes up against AJ Allmendinger, the two-time defending Xfinity Series winner at the Charlotte Roval here. That is the drive for the Cure, 250 down there. On Sunday, then, we get going at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I love these early start times here in the fall. It's really cool. 2 p.m. Eastern time, we will get that Cup race, the Bank of America ROVAL 400. The stage breaks in this one. Lap 25, lap 50, lap 109. So a big last stage. A lot can happen in there. And we also got to factor in the playoffs here, guys, as well. There are going to be some teams. The Chase Elliott's right on the cut line. Tyler Reddick below the cut line. Austin Cindric, who needs all the points he can get. Chase Briscoe can get all the points they can get. Joey Logano, who's below the cut line. These guys are going to be stage racing, and it's something to keep in mind here, that there will be some people like William Byron, who's just going for the win, like AJ Allmendinger, who's just going for the win. He doesn't give a shit. He's not racing for a title here. SVG, he doesn't give a shit either. So if I was picking an outright, like one of these favorites, I haven't laid it down yet. Those are kind of the guys I'm looking at. Who doesn't give a shit about points here? It's those three. It's SVG, it's Allmendinger, and it's William Byron, who's already locked in the next round as well. So just keep that in mind here. I want to walk you through a couple of the important trends here, I think, at the Roval. We do have 5 active drivers in the field who have won at the Roval as well. Chase Elliott has 2 wins. The Dinger has 1 win in the Cup Series, 2 in the Xfinity Series here at the Roval. Christopher Bell has won this race. Kyle Larson has won this race. And way back when, too, you might not remember, but the inaugural race here at the Roval was Ryan Blaney who came home with the win. And in second, if you remember who it was, Jamie McMurray. So just kind of a fun stat throughout there. But Dinger is the only non-playoff driver to win this race in the past. I think him and SVG are probably the only non-playoff guys who could really do it again. If you'll want to throw Chris Buescher in there, because Chris Buescher is always good at playing a little bit of spoiler here. He did it a couple weeks ago at Watkins Glen. I guess you could throw Buescher in that mix as well. Twice, the winner of this race has gone on to win the championship of the Cup Series. In 2020, we saw Chase Elliott do this. In 2021, we saw Kyle Larson do this as well. So just kind of something to keep in mind here is that if you are thinking that someone could win the championship, maybe they might be someone you should get invested here with as well, because the worst finisher by the eventual Cup Series championship was 18th. So that was Joey Logano a couple years ago. And so just something to keep in mind. Like, we are going to see traditionally the playoff guys rise to the top here and really dominate, 12 of the top 15, top 18 spaces or so. Something just keep in mind there. Joey Logano, speaking of him, he has a 6.2 average starting position here. Alex Bowman has a 7.6 average starting position. That's first and second all time. Again, the Roval's only been around for the last 7 or so years, so don't have a huge notebook. It's not like Jeff Gordon or Rusty Wallace or Boris said, any of these old road course guys really got a shot at this one. But Logano, Bowman, really good at unloading here. Rowdy, Kyle Busch, he needs a win. He leads all actives in top fives here as well with 3 of them. And then Alex Bowman and Logano also lead here in top 10s. They have 5 apiece. Bowman is 5 for 5 here, finishing top 10, and Joey Logano 5 for 6. Bowman, of course, did not race here in 2022 when he was recovering from that concussion. The winners on the grid from the starting grid where they've qualified from here. Winners have come from the 6th place position, the 8th place position, P10, P2, P19, and P9. So generally, for 5 out of the 6 times we've been here so far, that the winner has come from the top 10. So that is why I'm keeping some of my shekels, some of my coins here in my back pocket, just for when we do come in here. And when we do come in here after practice and qualifying, I want to see what this flop is. And a little surprise here. We got old Elliot back on the program. Elliot, great to see you, man. Right before, literally 2 minutes before, I'll peel back the curtain here. 2 minutes before we get going here, Elliot's girlfriend, her car breaks down on the interstate in Pittsburgh here. So Elliot, you get everything figured out there for old Mal.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to give that much detail, but that's okay. I was just going to say we have a new vehicle on the damaged vehicle policy, and thankfully we have a little more than 7 minutes to figure it out. But everybody is safe. There's no damage. And shout out to the GOAT, Seth, as I put in the comments here as I was running back here for covering the beginning of that race. Of course, the beginning of the show. Talladega was wild. I'm excited about the end finger win in trucks. I don't know if you talked about trucks, but now I have a 20-1 and a 28-1 waiting for me in Phoenix for the title.
18-1 for myself. Yes.
Nice. So that'll make the weekend exciting. And of course, nobody breaks down a racetrack better than you, Seth. So let's continue on looking at the Charlotte Roval trends. I've even got a couple of my own to bring up for you, too.
Okay. Yeah. No, hit us with them, man. I just went through pretty much all of our trends. So I'd love to hear what you have kind of in your back pocket before we round out here and get to the bets.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I found a couple of tweets this week from people. This one, self-described utterly pointless stat from Avery Hage. There's only one driver in the Cup Series this year who has led laps on more than 2 road/street courses this year. You want to reckon a guess on who it is?
Oh, Alex Bowman?
Martin Truex Jr.
Really?
2 laps at Coda. He led 1 lap at Sonoma, and he led 4 laps at Watkins Glen. So very pointless, and I certainly don't have any Truex bets on the card this week, but fun little stat there for you. That shows the field's parity at road courses and the difference road course to road course. You were talking a little bit about it. The Roval really has no true comps, kind of like Coda doesn't have a true comp.
Yep.
Or Chicago doesn't have a true comp. That's just the road courses this year.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that earlier. Like we have these secondary comps, we have these road courses we can point to, but this is really one like you want to look at Roval history, Elliot, but it's hard too because I just spent about 10 minutes going down the new breakdown of this course that's reconfigured as well. So like I'm keeping my head on a swivel. I want to see this flop here. I really have a very light card pre-practice and qualifying. I don't know if you're the same on that, but there's just a lot of people I think that could win this race, especially with this reconfiguration here.
Yeah, qualifying. And do we get practice this week? I don't even know if
we do. Yep, we do.
Practice and qualifying will tell a lot of the story. Generally, it seems like the same sort of track, just that little extra hairpin turn. I think you will see some chaotic moments, but I think there's a much better chance of guys moving each other for 25th than there is for the lead late, unless it's a real desperate situation. I don't think, like if it comes to SVG and Allmendinger, I mean, maybe they rough each other up because they don't care about points either, but unless it's a situation where this guy's out on the cut line by 3 points, and that would be their method of a Chastain to kind of bowl it in there, hit whoever you hit, see if you end up on the other side. But I could be wrong, but I think generally they'll play nice even with the new tight corner.
Yeah. We'll talk about those guys that you just mentioned there because there are a couple that I think can rough some people up because they aren't racing for points here. Yep. They're not regulars in the Cup Series right now. We got some friends here in the chat. Bob saying Elliot, Mr. Knowledge. Yeah. I think that's a pretty good nickname for the kid. Mal saying hopefully the drivers have better luck with their cars than me this weekend. What a trooper, what a keeper Elliot has right here. Not only has her car broken down today, but she is back home and she is watching our program after it all. So we appreciate that, Mallory. Thank you very much. And a $20 super sticker here from Dee Dee. Thank you so much. I hope everything is great in your life. I think Dee was in the middle of a move out to the state to Idaho, I think. So probably why we haven't seen Dee in these streets as long lately. But hey, good to see you nonetheless. Thanks so much for the support as always, Dee. Hope things are great in your life. What other trends you got here for me, Elliot?
So that was my main thing. I've got some others about particular drivers once we hit the bets. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure I got that Truex stat
Okay.
out because,
Yeah.
like I said in my between bets last week, I did put Truex in there because I
You
thought it would be
son of a bitch.
hilarious.
No,
I
it was
thought
not
I thought it
funny.
would be I thought it would be so funny if he's been shit all year, shit most of last year, shit on the super speedways forever, and then finally gets a super speedway win on the way out. Didn't happen, but like I say, sometimes, especially in the column, it's a combination of about 60 to 70%. This is my best bet that I think of for the week, and 30%. Maybe I don't like this guy as much as this guy, but I can write something more entertaining about the other guy. So that's the way it goes in the between bets for sure. Appreciate everyone who takes a look at those on the website. Usually they come out on Friday morning. So you'll see our one for the Roval coming out at some point tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I almost put an editor's note in when you put Martin Truex Jr. just because say again.
Listen, I made the declaration that was the last time for the year he was going in the column, and so probably the last time of his career. And I have another declaration this week for a similar driver. Will be the last time you see him here this year. So find out who that is and take a look tomorrow.
TK saying it would have been funny. It would have been. It would have been. It would have been a storybook ending. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and round out. Let's round out the forecast here with iFantasyRace.com's Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week. I'm throwing him back in there. We talked on him a few weeks ago in this very segment. It's Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric had a very solid showing last year at the Roval, but he ended up finishing 23rd. And you can kind of get an asterisk mark out of that result, folks. On lap 88, while running 10th, Cindric was spun, and I dropped him all the way back into the 30s. And his race, if the race wasn't incident-free, iFantasy Race is projecting him for a top 10 finish, though. So Cindric, a guy below the cut line, Elliot, who needs points desperately. iFantasy Race likes him a little bit, it seems like.
Yeah, that's good to know. These asterisk marks really help me out a lot. You would think that I would catch a lot of these for these guys, but sometimes I miss them, and iFantasy Race is there to pick me up. I'm not even going to say these guys in the main bets, but they're just two of those guys that, I got to feel it in my plums. I feel like they're going to do something good this week. Cindric's outright is at 40 to 1, and Daniel Suarez at 30 to 1, just because they've been guys who, from the very first week of the playoffs, have been surprising people. Neither of them were expected to make the round of 12. They both did. They're both in trouble now, unfortunately, because of just weird circumstances at Dega, because Suarez, if he doesn't have that penalty, could have ended up with a really good finish. He screwed himself at the beginning of the day and never got back. Cindric was leading the race when he started the biggest crash in the history of the Cup Series. Maybe he would have been a lot better off in points, if not even locking himself into the next round. They both have road course prowess. Suarez got his first win on a road course. We've seen Cindric completely outclass the field at times on road courses before. Their Roval stats both look shitty. I'm not going to put any money on them. Even for their top 10s, I see Suarez as plus 115 and Cindric at plus 180. I don't even know if I believe in them that much, but it's just one of those gut feelings. These guys aren't going to go out without a fight because they've been fighting all playoffs.
Absolutely. Agreed with you there, man. Didi in the chat, remind everyone, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It is the easiest way to support us. And we greatly, greatly appreciate everyone who does support us here, including our guy, Chuck. What's up, Chuck? Good to see you, man. Hope you had a great last weekend here and you're staying safe down there in the Georgia area as well. Let's go ahead, though, Elliot. I think we previewed this race enough. We're about 28 minutes in. What do you say we start laying down some bets?
Hey, man, shout out to you for covering most of those 28 minutes, but this is what the people come for is the bets. So let's go ahead and get rolling in the parking garage props for the week. All right, so I heard you talk a little bit about the books that you're holding back most of your card for after practice and qualifying. What do you think in general? And you can go ahead and lead us off with your outrights.
I think they did a really good job of just taking out a lot of the value. I didn't see a lot of value pre-flop, man. And the thing is listen, it's hard not to want to invest in SVG, right? But the thing is, he's in that 13 car that couldn't even get off the fucking start.
Right. So I did put this in the chat when you said it as I was driving. Do not text and drive, people. I used the text to speech button there. I don't know if it's the whole crew, but I did see something that at least the normal crew chief of the 16, Travis Mack, was going to crew chief the 13 for SVG because I had the same worry. I'm like, okay, Shane wasn't supposed to run this race. They're going to put him in the 13. They're going to run into big trouble. But once again, they find every way possible to screw AJ Allmendinger for some reason. And I'm sure it'll be a mix. I don't know if they're going to just put all the 16 guys on the 13, all the 13 on the 16, and just mess with the numbers. But it's not entirely that number 13 avoid with caution team, which last week after how Allmendinger ran at Talladega, that does give me a little hope for both of these colored cars, even more than I normally would, because they both looked competent last weekend.
Yeah, it's Dega though. You know what I mean? Like the
It's Dega,
fucking
but you still have to be
RWR and
competent.
BJ McLeod look pretty good at fucking Dega too half the time.
Yeah, but like Allmendinger was like a lap down or almost a lap down at one point, cycled to the lead eventually. SVG holding his own and not embarrassing himself was honestly good enough for a place like Dega, especially after an Xfinity. He kind of embarrassed himself, and Dean Thompson did the most embarrassing part, turned him, knocked him out, and knocked out a bunch of other guys in that Xfinity race. But for him not embarrassing himself and for Allmendinger showing some life heading into the Roval, the track where he's so good, I have full faith in both of these college guys, as you'll hear, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, I have faith in them. It's just hard for me to bet them at their current numbers. Like AJ's been a weapon here. We hit that outright on him last year here very heavily, and one of our best hits of the season. But that was 12-1 back then. I was looking at my notes from last year at this track. We got him 12-1, and 8.5-1 just doesn't speak to me the same. So same with plus 550 for Shane in the 13 car. I just don't trust the manufacturers. I would love to get invested with Christopher Bell here as well at 16-1, but I just don't trust Joe Gibbs equipment right now either with some of this tight braking that's going to happen as well. So my favorite play, which I haven't bet it, and I probably won't until after practice and qualifying, is probably William Byron, just because I think he can say fuck it and go for the win because he is already locked in. He's in a Hendrick car. He's in good equipment here. He's raced good at road courses this season, hit or miss at road courses, I should say. Like was fast at Coda, was dog shit at Watkins Glen, where we thought he was going to be good a couple weeks ago. But the only outright I've currently placed, Elliot, it's just a sprinkle, about 0.2 of a unit here. It's Joey Logano, 45-1 on the outright. Joey Logano is 5 for 6, finishing top 10 here at the Roval. In the one race that he didn't finish top 10, he won the pole, he led 27 laps, and he won stage 1 as well. In last year's race, specifically the number 22 car, 7th in total speed rankings, 6th in green flag speed, 3rd fastest late in the run, 7th in driver rating, and was in the top 15 for 95.4% of the laps here. He's been dog shit on road courses this season. Like we can't cover that up. 20th in the total speed rankings at road courses. That's why you're getting a 45-1 here. But he did start top 10 twice and pulled Sonoma here. And more than anything else, Elliot, like this is a bet on, I know the road course hasn't totally changed, but Joey Logano, whether it's a reconfig, or a repave, this guy shows up. He shows up, and I was kicking myself for not betting him on the outright at Sonoma this year. And then he goes out and pulls it, and you have a cash out option. So that 45-1 is at FanDuel, of course. So you might be able to get a cash out if he does qualify well. I touched on earlier in the trends as well that him and Bowman are the top 2 in average starting position here as well at the Roval. So give me a guy who's minus 13 below the cut line, who might not be an awesome road course racer himself anymore, but he still has Penske, who's going to throw everything they can at him because he's there. Like Blaney's pretty comfortably above the cut line as long as he doesn't fuck anything up. So Logano's who they need to worry about advancing here. So give me a little Joey Logano. I have him on the outright 45-1, and I also win a full unit plus 180 for the top 10 at FanDuel.
I like the top 10 a lot better than I like the outright. I pulled up the points over here after last week. In Logano's case, only being minus 13, he may be in a case where he's going to go all out for the stage points. It depends, obviously, on how P&Q goes for him. If he starts back in the field, is not going to have a chance at stage points, then he plays it differently and realizes the win is the best chance. But being only minus 13, you've got, like you said, Bowman and Blaney plus 26 and plus 25 are in decent shape, but they can still move a good bit. Reddick at plus 14, Chase Elliott at plus 13. You know they're going to go for stage points unless they have something go wrong. So for Logano there, maybe ending up in a position for the win isn't going to quite work out because they have to sell out for stage points and your SVGs, your Allmendingers. And I didn't think about that with Byron because it's a really good point. He's locked in on points. He's far enough. And even like a Bell at plus 57 or a Larson at plus 52.
True.
If they don't have any issues, they can be guys who, have obviously been good at road courses before. They all have road course wins. Bell's won at the Roval before, I think, hasn't he? So Larson has too.
Yeah.
But they're definitely guys that can go for the win. Maybe they'll try to play it safer. Who knows? But in terms of the outright market, for me, I know Allmendinger, the numbers, not our favorite. It's a hell of a lot better than SVG. I was not expecting that much of a disparity between the 16 and the 13. I think Allmendinger is damn near a slam dunk here, plus 850. We know that he doesn't give a shit about points. He doesn't have to. We know that the Roval's his best track. Right here, another tweet, the other tweet that I had, from a guy. His Twitter is at Tom_Angles_desk, and his Twitter name, Christopher Beltram Hernandez Super Y Yaley or something. Do you know that's JJ Yaley's real name is Christopher Beltram Hernandez Yaley?
No, I did not. Okay.
I forget why he goes by JJ, but he goes by JJ. So anyway, this guy pulled out the math, and tomorrow is the last guaranteed day, the 1,840th day of AJ Allmendinger's reign as king of the Roval in a series that he's contested for the points championship. So that's Cup last year and Xfinity every other year. He's never lost a race. He's won every race in the series he's been contesting the points championship for since the Rovals existed. Fun fact, though, that 1,840 days is 289 days longer than the Confederacy lasted. So that's how long it's been. But yeah, so AJ has obviously run other Cup races and he hasn't won them. He's 4 for 4 in Xfinity. So the 3 years he was running for the title there. And then last year in Cup, which he was running for Cup points, he was not full-time in Xfinity last year. He won that one too. In the other Cup races at the Roval, he's had a 4th and a 7th. This year on the road course, it's been up and down. We talked about Watkins Glen, where he had an issue right away, couldn't get anything done. Crashed out in that rainy mess at Chicago. Turned out pretty good for some people, not so good for these Collard road course ringers. He ran 6th at both Coda and Sonoma, and that's in that 13 car, which we said has been really shitty. I think this week they're going to make sure between SVG and Allmendinger that neither of those cars are going to be shitty because it's going to be Colleague's last stand for them to get a win probably this year. And I think Allmendinger's your slam dunk. I think that we've seen SVG as human. We saw him essentially blow the race at Watkins Glen, which is harsh because he only kind of sort of messed up one corner, and Chris Buescher was good enough to catch him. Do you know who else is good enough to catch him on the last lap? AJ Allmendinger. If they don't run into trouble, they're slam dunks, and it will not be the last time you hear a colleague bet in either series on my card.
Yeah, man. I get it. I think if I'm betting AJ somewhere, though, I'm probably going Xfinity series if I want the outright. But SVG's been so damn good in the Xfinity series too. So it's tough, dude. It's the equipment.
Both need it too, as they're both below the cut line, not by as much as they would have been if not for the Mayor DQ. We'll talk Xfinity later, but they both need it too. So that'll almost be a little warm up on Saturday, even though it matters more in points for both of them. I think they both would rather the Cup trophy than the Xfinity trophy.
Anything else for you from an outright perspective, man? I will say I've been looking at it. I've been flirting with it. I haven't bet it because I can never hit an outright on this guy. I never have. Alex Bowman, 25-1 for another guy who's been damn consistent here. Alex Bowman?
The 48 is going to sell out for stage points. They're plus 26, which is comfortable. They're going to go for stage points. I'm sure Bowman will qualify top 10, top 15. Probably won't have a race-winning car. Probably won't have race-winning speed. They'll sell out for stage points and try to walk into stage 3, 40 to 45 up on the cut line and be content with that. I don't see the 48 really taking risks, nor do I see – there are 2 other outright numbers I was looking at. Yeah. Chase Elliott at 15-1, Tyler Reddick at 12-1. Both of those over on FanDuel. Of course, they're both super good on road courses. Chase Elliott, not so great at the this year, but the Roval's probably his best one. 4 top 10 series, won twice, 9th last year. He's led laps in every race here except for that first one in 2018. They're both really good in the total speed ranking. But again, I just both think they're in a spot, Reddick plus 14, Chase plus 13, that they're going to be in big trouble if they have a winner from below the cut line and they don't get the stage points. I think they're also going to have to sell out for stage points, which makes their outrights much less attractive. But if playoff driver's going to win, I like one of those 2.
Yeah. Chase I don't know, man. He just hasn't had the speed lately. I can't really explain it.
His only good road course this year was Sonoma. He finished 4th, and then I don't know that he even has another top 10 on a road course. So again, I probably don't like it enough to bet it, but just I feel like if there's going to be any of that Chase Elliott magic on a road course, like we had in the Gen 6 car, the Roval would be the place where it would happen.
In the chat, we got some people shouting out Kyle Busch. Chuck likes him at 20-1. Bob likes him at 22-1. I get it. Like, he does have the most top 5s here among actives, but I tried to get invested a couple weeks ago with Kyle Busch, another track he was really good at, Bristol, and he was fucking 30th and, got lapped in the first stage. So if you guys want to do it, like, maybe he hits. I can't do it. I can't stomach it anymore. Every time I bet this guy his ass, and every time I don't, the guy has a fucking rocket. So try figuring out which one he has this week when he unloads. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think with Rowdy, though, he's another guy that for the rest of the year, he's going to sell out for race wins. They're going to do whatever they can to get him into victory lane.
True,
and
good
point. A track where he's totally going to be one of those guys, if he's any good, to try and flip the stage and try to run up there with a guy like SVG or a guy like Allmendinger or some of these playoff guys. I just don't know if the RCR stuff's good enough, and I don't know that he's good enough to beat all those guys on a road course if nothing happens. Of course, you could have some crazy shit happen.
Mhm.
The collared cars take each other out, and you get some of these other guys involved. It definitely opens the door for Rowdy. His top 5 or his top 10, I probably would love it because I think he's going to be up there contending. It's just like SVG, Allmendinger, and some of these other guys, they're almost in a different class, especially with the playoff thing. I mean, we saw it at Watkins Glen. We even saw it at Kansas, where the field had to sell out for stage points so much that a playoff driver really was not even in contention for the win at either of those places.
Yeah. Yeah. TK in the chat saying Busch needs to qualify well to avoid early chaos, which got him at Watkins Glen.
That's the
Yeah.
case. It might be the most important qualifying session of the year, just because you're going to have so many of these guys that need the early points. They can't fuck themselves and qualify 26th.
Yeah.
Especially with that first turn. I mean, we've seen it before where some of the very first year or the first 2 years, even that Tums heartburn turn, when shit got real late in the race, nobody could figure it out. And there was 6 cars pile drive into the wall there on the second to last restart. That's definitely a risk. I mean, I know that's later in the race. Point is, you want to keep track position regardless.
Yeah. Let's go to placement props here, Elliot. I got one other than my Logano top 10. It's another chalky one. We already mentioned him. It's Alex Bowman plus 115. Dude's been on an absolute heater lately. He has scored stage points in 9 out of 10 stages so far in the playoffs. That is ridiculous. And the one stage he didn't was stage 1 at Talladega last week when he was like literally top 2 or 3 cars with like 3 laps to go and then falls all the way out of the top 10. Shows you what Talladega is.
And he still was like 11th or something in that stage. I feel like he was still pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the reason I didn't bet the top 10 or the outright on him 25-1 is exactly what you said. 26 points above the cut line. I think he's just looking for a top 10 day. I think if they get out the top 10 day, they're happy. They push themselves into the round of 8 here. Bowman has an average finish of 6.4 here at the Roval, 5 for 5 finishing top 10, as I noted earlier as well. I also like that he's been pretty good on road courses so far this season as well. Average finish of 9.5 and also 6 in the road course total speed rankings over there at ifantasyrace.com as well. So give me a little Bowman top 10 plus 115 at Bet Rivers. I think I went 1.5 units on this one.
I think it's a good bet. I don't have any Bowman bets on the card this week, even though he's been good at the road courses. Still, probably after the Glen, somebody passed him for most points on road courses this year, but heading into the Glen, he did have that. Obviously, has a Chicago win. Obviously, my background light just died. Sorry about that, folks. We'll adjust that in a minute here. Thanks, Kyle. Used it all up Tuesday night on the In-Between Fantasy Football podcast, which if you're not watching, you totally should watch over there on Tuesday night. Seth and the crew do a great job. But anyway, with Bowman, I think even a top 15 day they'll be comfortable with. I really feel like that they're not going to try to ruffle any feathers. They're not going to really sell out for anything other than just stage points. So I think a top 10 bet is risky there. If you have them in matchups or groups or something like that, that could be something that works a little better.
I might have one. I'm
over here. My crazy ass is trying to simultaneously convince myself and not convince myself that this fucking 48 car can make a run to the championship 4. Because there's no realistic chance of it happening.
It's been hot, man. He's been hot, dude.
He's been hot. This is a year where maybe there'll be somebody who can point their way in. And he's done it before. 2020 was another year that was basically just like this for Bowman in the 48. We only had the one win, didn't have any playoff points, ran so well throughout the playoffs and ended up in the round of 8, again, way back on points. He finished 3rd, 5th, and 6th and doesn't end up even coming close to the championship 4. But definitely something to watch. But they're also only plus 26, an incident at the Roval, and they're out, which it's crazy to see how this has worked out here. You got Byron's advanced, Bell Larson, but then you have Tyler Reddick, the regular season champ, and Chase Elliott, both just barely scraping by.
What else do you like here for placement props that you are down on?
So the one that I like a lot, as I'm going to try to, or I'm not going to mess with the light. Well, I'll take the pasty white look and I'll fix it later. Our guy McNasty for a top 10, a little juicy at minus 118 over on Bet Rivers. He's been kind of back and forth on road courses, but he's got some really good finishes this year. He was runner-up at Sonoma. He was 5th in the Mass at Chicago, 7th at Watkins Glen just a couple of weeks ago. And on road courses since 2023, he's 8th in the total speed ranking. Obviously won that Indy road course race last year. The only thing against it is the Roval's probably his worst road course, at least in recent memory. No top 10s there. I think a 12th and a 14th. There's only 2 half-decent finishes. Everything else is 20+. But they're another team that they're playing with house money. They're wrapping up a really good partnership there as McDowell will head to Spire. I think they're almost as feel good of a story as Stuart Haas, just without the playoff element of we've had some good times and we want to try to have some more good times before this is wrapped up. Obviously, I don't think he can quite win, but I do think that 34 car will be in and around that top 10 late in the race.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't like the track record here. That's what kind of scared me off McNasty a little bit. Anything else you had, or any interesting numbers for the placements?
I'll throw out two more that I have in my card here just because you've done enough talking and I need to catch up a little bit because I screwed you there in the first bit. Ty Gibbs for a top 5, plus 225 over on Bet Rivers. His stat, he was not somebody that initially jumped out to me, but it doesn't take very much research to figure out that the 54 is pretty damn good on the road courses, and especially this year. In the overall total speed ranking, he's been the second best driver, only behind SVG, who of course hasn't run all those races in that total speed ranking since 2023. And he was second best last year at the Roval in total speed ranking. He finished in 4th in that race, 3rd at Chicago, 3rd at Coda, runner-up here 2022 in Xfinity. If you're going to have a non-playoff guy, you're going to get the spoils. Ty Gibbs didn't make it through this round. He could be another guy, and he's honestly got a better chance probably than some of these other guys, but definitely than a Kyle Busch. He was the guy I was trying to think of. I think the 54 has a hell of a lot better chance at running with the College cars than the 8 does, or than a lot of other guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't just want to throw out two numbers that I'm not currently I never throw out numbers that I'm not currently down on, but tonight I just have two I want you to watch this weekend for me and keep in mind.
I'll listen and I'll be back in the call in a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So two numbers to keep in mind here this weekend, folks. Plus 175 for William Byron top 5. We talked about William Byron here very much so earlier in the program tonight. And he's a guy, he doesn't have to race for stage points. So I think Byron is a guy who can get up there inside the top 5 and continue to kind of cruise his way up there. Like when everyone else is kind of having to go for stage points, he can flip them with SVG, with Allmendinger, with Chris Buescher, with Kyle Busch. He can be one of the flippers. So I do like William Byron here a little bit. I think plus 175, kind of a nice number here. I want to see what practice and qualifying does for him. He's been super inconsistent at the road courses this season. We saw him go out and spank the field at Coda, and then just kind of has come back down to reality at road courses so far this season. So a number I'm watching, plus 175 at William Byron. I would probably even bet that all the way down to plus 150 if we get a chance. And then a long shot top 10 for me that I'm watching. I think we might be able to get a better number after practice and qualifying because he doesn't typically qualify well on road courses. It's Noah Gragson. And this is more of a gut feel. This is more of a guy who in Xfinity was really fucking good here. Like I never thought Noah Gragson really of a road course racer, Elliot, but good here in Xfinity. Had a runner-up finish, had another top 5 finish as well in Xfinity. And I think like plus 460, I'm not getting paid enough for a guy who has yet to get a top 10 at a road course so far this season in the Cup Series. However, he has a 11th place finish, like a 14th. He's got a bunch of these like low to mid-teen finishes. I was looking for him in matchups. I only found him in one matchup that I didn't like. It was against Hocevar, who's also been really good at road courses lately. So Noah Gragson, just kind of a name to watch. Someone to keep in mind here. If you can maybe find a 6-1 after practice and qualifying, hammer down, baby.
Yeah, I think that's a good move to wait because I really don't think we're going to see that 10 car qualify, maybe even in the top 20.
Yeah.
SHR has been, and of course, all their eggs are going to be in the 14 basket if you believe in that. I even have a bet in the groups, which we'll get to in a little bit, that kind of fades the 10 car a little bit, but you'll see why when we get there for sure.
Okay.
I certainly don't hate that with Gragson, though. Someone to watch if you can get that 6 or 7-1 a little later.
Anything else for you here from a position prop standpoint?
I'll just say it because if I do lay down on this, it'll be by far the juiciest bet I've ever laid down on. You showed this to me from 2 years ago. It was really just learning the betting scheme. We were just learning the betting scheme. I never wanted to touch anything that was minus money. Would you ever believe that I would bring a minus 350 bet onto the show? You probably wouldn't, and nobody else would. That's SVG's top 10 number over on Caesars. I just think for him to not be in the top 10, he's either going to have to crash out or have some issue, or the car's just going to need to be absolutely fucking terrible. And I don't think either of those will happen. I think it would just be something astronomical would have to happen for him not to run top 10. The only way it happens is if there's a late restart, Allmendinger shoves him in the fence, and he's 25th. I just feel like if this race plays out like any normal road course race that we've seen, especially with all the factors of the stage flipping and just how good he's run, unless he gets fenced or fences himself or the car is just truly terrible or has a mechanical issue, I don't see how you're not winning your money back here.
Yeah, I think if you do want to take something that juicy, you parlay it. You grab a couple college football money line heavy favorites out there.
Yeah.
Trying to think off the top of my head who are some of the heavy favorites this week because we really have a freaking loaded slate with not a ton of heavy favorites out there. But
And you have those weeks like last week where even your heavy favorites go down in the college
yeah,
football game. So
yeah, not for me, baby. We had Indiana. We had Indiana parlayed with the host of our top 20 last week, and then Hemrick let me down on his top 20 bet. Of course, he was like 5 for 5 with super speedways this season, and then got caught up. I don't know if you saw what Hemrick tried to do. Tried to like do a little like wall ride up there and try to miss everyone. He got backed into. But yeah, so find a couple
yeah.
college football money lines maybe to get that juice down, but. I mean, if you're going to bet SVG for me, I would just do a top 5 or top 3. I've thought about it. I've considered It's just the car, bro. It's the car
And
that
that's
scares me.
I do think that those numbers look good, and I will preface I cannot endorse any college football bets. I'm happy for all of you that go out there and do that, but that's just me stating that to the record. The top 3 and the top 5, obviously much better numbers. It's just they are riskier in the fact that even if he misses the last corner and Allmendinger gets past him or somebody gets past him and he ends up 7th or 8th, that's a hell of a lot better chance of happening. This gives a little wiggle room where even a little last lap, last corner incident, he still can get into that top 10. And once again, those I'm taking the extra juice for the extra 5 positions that I get on the back end of it.
Yeah, I get it. James here in the chat. What's up, James? Saying you guys are awesome. Appreciate you each week. James, we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for tuning in live with us tonight. We greatly appreciate it, man. Hope you're having a great Thursday evening. Elliot, anything else here from positional props? I do have a banger, an absolute banger of a matchup here I'm dying to get to.
I'm excited to hear it, man. Let's hear it.
All right, shocker. I need your purple tinted glasses tonight because I'm going Alex Bowman, baby. Minus 115 over Daniel Suarez. 2 units down on it. Alex Bowman is thank you. Alex Bowman is 5-0 against Suarez in his career at the Roval. Alex Bowman's, we already talked about his average finish here. It is absurd, man. It is 6.4. Take a guess what Daniel Suarez is here. Just take a guess, Elliot.
20th, 22nd, because I know his numbers didn't look great.
27th. 27th. His best finish ever here is 13th. Bowman has beat 13th every single time he has come to this track. Bowman is 2-2 against him at the road courses so far this season. So that is like the one blemish on this bet, but he's just running so damn consistent lately. Give me the better car. Give me the better driver at the Roval here. The only thing that might burn you here is if Suarez is one of those top guys who's flipping stages and Bowman isn't. That's the only thing that could burn you. But we got 50 green flag laps hopefully at the end of this race here in that last stage that I think maybe he can work himself back in ahead of Suarez if that is the case. But I don't trust Danny Suarez right now. I trust Alex Bowman here. So minus 115 for Bowman over Suarez. This is at Caesars.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that one up because not only did I bring a matchup that I would want to bet on, but there were 2 that were even money that I thought were complete toss-ups that I wanted to bring to the group. Yeah. One of them was that 48 versus 99 over on Caesars, just because I think that Suarez is going to have to, whether it's sell out for stage points or sell out for a win, I think he's going to try to put himself in a better situation than with the 48 there. And we've just seen him do well on road courses as well. Obviously, the lean is to Bowman there because of those stats, but if anybody would want to go Suarez there, I probably wouldn't blame him. The other one that I thought was a total toss-up, both at minus 114 over on Bet Rivers, Chris Buescher and Chase Elliott, because we just saw Buescher.
Yeah,
we just saw Buescher win at Watkins Glen. He has an over/under 2 on Caesars. His under 6.5 is that finishing position at plus 110. Another one I was considering. But we just saw Buescher win that. His Roval stats have been kind of mid. Chase Elliott, though, we've seen the success there, but not so much recently. I thought this one was a really good toss-up coin flip to bring to the group here.
Yeah, that was one I saw, and honestly, it just pissed me off even seeing that. I was like, because that's like literally one that's like, it's recent road course finishes, which is all Buescher, versus track history, which is Chase, and I just can't get invested with that. So that's yeah, but it's a totally good one to discuss. And like, do you have a lean there? Because I don't even know who I would lean, honestly. Like, I'd probably lean Chase, but I don't want to get invested with them. I just don't.
No, I wouldn't say that I have a lean either.
Okay.
I thought it was a total coin flip. I thought sometimes there are just good ones that are worth discussing, and I thought that one was one that you can take either end of. Literally flip a coin and hope that Abe Lincoln sends you in the right direction.
James asking where to get the best Bowman odds. Currently, I think I got his top 10 best I'm seeing is plus 115 at Bet Rivers, and then that matchup with Suarez that's over at Caesars there for you, James. Charles asking on Bowman, would you do over KB and MTJ? Charles, is this a matchup or is this are these two separate matchups or is this a group? Because I would hammer him over Martin Truex Jr. Truex Jr. here in the next gen era finishes of 20th and 17th. So I would absolutely hammer him over MTJ. Kyle Busch is close because Kyle Busch has had really good runs here as well. But depending what the number is there, I'm not a big groups guy, Charles. You know that. I don't think I've bet a group since Atlanta earlier this season. But yeah. Okay. So group of Suarez there too. Yeah, like what's the number, Charles? Give me a number there. What's the number on Bowman? I would consider it. Again, not a group guy, but what do you think, Elliot?
Yeah, probably Bowman. I'd be surprised if Bowman wasn't the favorite in that group.
Yeah.
Probably Bowman, like the 99 or the 8. They definitely could, run a little better than him. But again, it's a well placed group because you think there's a favorite, then you're like, maybe not. They throw in the shitter of MTJ, like good looks there. I don't think that's going to work out. I definitely wouldn't take the 19, but
yeah, plus 260 for our guy Charles. I would dabble. If you can't
you're not to pull my leg that much, I'll take the 40.
Yeah, if you can't find that matchup against Suarez there, I don't mind that. Charles, anything else from you here from matchups or groups, Elliot?
I had a couple other Allmendinger matchups, but we don't really need to beat the dead horse on that one. Plus, they're against Byron and they're against Larson. So,
no way.
I'm kind of okay fading those for sure.
Okay. Any specials for you before we jump into Xfinity?
I did forget to mention that one group bet. And I love when, especially Caesars, has those groups where you see some of those guys that are probably going to run 15th, 20th, 25th. And this guy ran a hell of a lot better than that at the most recent road course race. Zane Smith, all the way at the bottom of this group, plus 305. And that is over Justin Haley in the 7. He's at plus 200. Hocevar is a plus 230. Gregson, a plus 275. We saw even Zane Smith, when he was running terrible, he was good at the road courses, and he was 5th on his own merit at Watkins Glen. So I feel like the 71, the obvious choice here.
Yeah, you're talking to the guy, though, who laid 3 units on the 71 over Carson Hocevar a couple weeks ago at Watkins Glen. And, of course, not only does Zane Smith go have the run of his fucking life and has a top 5, but Carson Hocevar top 3. So I'm out on that one. You can miss me. It's a no from me, dog. But I get where your mindset is there as well. And don't forget, Noah Gragson, a little sneaky here, Elliot. A little sneaky.
Right. And I think Haley, honestly, is the favorite of the group, but I don't know that I'd pick him over any of these 3 below him.
Yeah. Specials? Anything specials before we hit Xfinity?
I feel like if you're big in the call guys this week, you got to look at those Exacta or the Quinella. I know they get brought up rarely because normally they're literally the dart throws, the crazy shit, but occasionally they hit. And I came this goddamn close at New Hampshire to getting a Bell and Barry Exacta to hit. That didn't work out. But so SVG and AJ, the Quinella's at 9-1, and either Exacta you have is 22-1. So I feel like if you want to make money on those guys, you don't like the SVG outright, and you think it is going to be them up front, and they'll race each other clean, which again, I don't know if that'll happen either. Yeah. But if you do want to get invested in these guys and not drink a fuck ton of juice, that might be your way to do it. Especially because you can flip me the way. It's not like an SVG over AJ is this much, or like these are playable numbers, which I understand if you think the outrights, and especially that juicy as shit top 10 isn't playable. These are at least playable if you believe in both of them.
Yeah, I always honestly like a couple times a year I'll throw out an Exacta or Quinella, and I do enjoy it. It's a fun way to get invested. Like, yeah, I do that when I go up to the racetrack here and bet some ponies. But besides that, like, you typically aren't betting that stuff. So it is fun. I remember I was like so close. I bet a Larson and Hamlin, and they finished 1-3 this year. So So
we both mine was the Bell won New Hampshire, and it was Barry and Briscoe fighting for second, and Briscoe nicked Barry right at the end.
I remember that. I remember. Yeah. Okay.
But every other time I've bet him, I've just been pissing money away. That was the only time I ever came close. So I definitely don't bring them up or look at them as much as I used to. Yeah, it was just a sprinkle. I think it was 50 cents that would have won me $30 or something. So
I wish we could bet that in the Xfinity series, my friend. Oh boy.
I mean, SVG and AJ Exacta minus 200 or some shit like that. Honestly, they'd fuck us over.
let's go ahead and turn the page there. Let's get over to the Xfinity Series, man. And I'll be honest, Elliot, I have been looking at the Xfinity Series odds probably since like 7 o'clock on the East Coast tonight, and I just cannot find fucking value. I have one bet, and I hammered the piss out of it. 3.5 units on it. I can share that with you. But it's a matchup, so I want to get anything from you that you're thinking from an outright perspective or maybe a placement prop perspective that IBT family can maybe tail, because for me, I want to bet SVG, but I ain't betting minus money, especially at a road course where we know a lot of fuckery happens. So floor is yours, my friend. What do you have from an Xfinity Series standpoint? I will potentially be tailing you because I want to get invested. I just don't know where.
Yeah, I've got a couple to talk about, so we'll do a little like I'll go my half, you say yours, and then I'll go my other half. I feel like the second half is a little more interesting. I feel like AJ being at 3-1, him not being the favorite over SVG is just the books just taking money out of their own pocket, just because it's been AJ literally all 4 years. Doesn't matter if it's piss and rain or if it's a dry track or if he's not full time.
True.
AJ dominates the Roval. He's the king of the Roval. Like I said, nearly 2,000 days of nobody fucking else winning at the Roval when it matters, when the points matter, than AJ Allmendinger. Him being at 3-1, it's not an outright I love, but it's a hell of a lot better than minus money. And I'll give you one guess here. If you've been paying attention to my Xfinity bets on road courses, if there's one guy that I'm not going for an outright, that I'm looking at in a different market, who do we got?
I got two guesses. Can I have two?
Yes.
Okay, first one, Austin Green.
Austin Green, minus 150 over Ed Jones on Bet365.
Ed Jones is my other one I was going to give you. Okay.
It's been a fun battle to watch. A couple of road course ringers kind of just dipping their feet wet in the NASCAR game. We saw them have really good runs at one place or another. Austin Green on the road courses, 7th, 15th, 4th, 10th, 11th. He's not an oval guy. We found that out at Bristol when 50 laps in. He fucking embarrassed himself and crashed the car, and I think he crashed someone else, and it was just not a good look at all. But clearly this guy's a road course guy, Trans Am guy. He's a guy that knows what the fuck he's doing when there's left and rights. Obviously in a Jordan Anderson car, getting the win or even reliably betting the top 10 is something that I'm not, or the top 5 even. The Xfinity top 10 for Austin Green, I'd give the book so much money and piss it away. I don't know why they don't do it. Because he's hit that, like I said, in 3 out of the 5 road course races and came close in another. I don't like him for the top 5. He hasn't come that close again since. A bit of a freaky race there, and I think it was Sonoma. But over at Jones,
you don't like him 14-1? You don't like him 14-1?
No, because I've ridden that the last 2 road course races, and he's ran well. You know, I love that he's having that Jordan Anderson car of good runs. I'd like to see him get the funding to get in a car that can actually try to win a road course race next year, because I think he can do it. He's been good enough in cars that really, like, I mean, a Jordan Anderson car, we've only ever seen it do well at like a Daytona or Talladega. Jeff Burton out there racing his heart out in that 27 hasn't really been something. But I like me some Austin Green, as usual, on an Xfinity road course. One more time for the year.
So question for you. Why are you fading Ed Jones? Ed Jones was also a surprise top 5, I think, back at Portland, if you remember that. Yeah,
and it's not so much a fade Ed Jones, as in I'm interested in the both of them. We've just seen Austin Green outrun Ed Jones more recently. For some reason, that 26 car, with some drivers it runs better, some drivers it doesn't.
Sure.
It'll be a fun matchup to watch. This is just more of I'm going with my guy. I totally get it if you take the plus money, plus 120. If you want to take the other side of that, we can have a little race within the race there on Saturday. But
I'm okay. I don't need to back Ed Jones. That's all right. I'm just asking. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, I will say, like, I might be like drinking some, like, now you have honestly talked me into AJ Allmendinger and in Xfinity. I don't know why I was overlooking him. It's just, I think it's just been such a porous year for him, and he's really gotten overshown there. So,
and I do completely agree. At every other road course, it's been the SVG show, and like Colleague, they haven't like thrown him under the bus, but like at times it feels like they've kind of thrown him under the bus for the year that they have SVG in the door. So, it's just the Roval, just that SVG normally runs these races very free and open. He wants to win. He wants to go out there. He wants to learn. This is the first pressure situation we'll see him in for points, because he's going to need to run well, if not win, to get into the next round. So we'll see how he does with that pressure. Sorry to interrupt there.
Would you bet? I'm seeing minus 120 for Dinger top 3 here. Would you do that? Is that something? So I think I will be adding that to my card. So now we have 2 Xfinity Series plays. Dinger top 3 minus 120 at DraftKings. I think that's a pretty fair price for if this guy. I mean, Elliot said he's 4 for 4 winning here in Xfinity. So I think it's worth a look. I will get to my hammer of the week, though. 3.5 units. And also, I will say there's a boost right now on Bet Rivers. I don't know why there's a boost. There's a 25% boost they're offering right now. I don't know if it's just on NASCAR. It popped up in my thing today. I put it with Cole Custer, who was originally minus 115 over Parker Kligerman. I'm down 3.5 units, Elliot. I'm not fucking around in this one. Cole Custer last year in the same 00 car, second last year, number 1 in green flag speed, number 1 in speed bike segment as well. 3-2 against Kligerman at road courses this season. Kligerman was 6th here, but motivation to me matters. Like, Custer is running for a ship here. He is also someone who can flip stages because he is pretty far above it. Kligerman's going to have to be hammering, trying to get stage points all day long because he's dead last in points right now, especially with the Sammy Smith win there at Dega as well. So, like, talk me out of well, you can't actually talk me out of it because I've already placed it, but maybe talk the IBT family out of it because, like, getting Custer, someone who's an elite driver, and I get Kligerman is a good road course racer, but he's done at the end of the year, man. Like, it's kind of like Truex, you know what I mean? Like, this is kind of his last run here. So, yeah, give me a little Cole Custer. I just feel really good about this one. I feel really good about it.
You want to talk about some IBT synergy here? I got 2 other Xfinity bets, and one of those is Parker Kligerman plus 110 over Cole Custer, who was at minus 140, the matchup that I saw. And they're pretty even keeled. That's why I'm going with Kligerman here. And on the inverse of what you just said, he's far enough back in the points, he's going to have to sell out for the win. Stage points aren't going to get him to where he needs to go.
Is he that far back? I think he's only like 20 back.
But that's
17.
far enough back when you include that Allmendinger is below the cut line, is the fucking Roval king. SVG is below the cut line.
So is Gator.
The fucking road course king. Low Gator, fucking king of Xfinity, below the cut line.
Mayer, who won this race last year too.
Yeah, Mayer. So they're all right at the cut line or below the cut line. Kligerman, I feel like he's not apathetic about it like Truex. I'm happy I got this opportunity. I'm glad that I got to run full Xfinity seasons. He got back. He got in a decent competitive ride. He hasn't gotten a win, but he's ran pretty damn good. I think he's leaving it all out on the racetrack. Martin Truex Jr. has said, I've left it all out there forever. I've won a title. I can't stand these fucking kids. I can't stand this fucking car. Get me the fuck on a boat right now. I hate this. Kligerman is soaking it all in. He's appreciating it, and he's got the stuff to potentially get a good finish here. They've got very comparable results. This year at the road courses, I've charted it all out. For Custer, they're good numbers. Coda, Portland, and Sonoma, 4th, 6th, and 9th. Really good finishes there. Chicago and the Glen, the 2 most recent road courses. I'm hoping I'm not forgetting one here.
No,
18th, right. 18th and 21st at those for Custer. For Kligerman, 5th, 8th, 10th, 4th, and 7th. Top 10 across the board. Again, give me the Xfinity top 10s. I'll bet it minus 300 for a guy like Kligerman. At the Roval last year, he was 6th. I do understand Custer's good here too. 3 races, as you said, 7th, 8th, and 2nd in Xfinity. Even had a top 10 in one of the Cup Series races there. It's going to be a fun one to watch. They're going to run around each other all day. But I think Kligerman's selling out for the win. And just the disparity in the matchup here. Kligerman being plus 110, Custer at minus 140 when I saw it. I don't remember if you had a different number on that. But I like Kligerman in this matchup with plus money.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, I got him minus 115. I used that boost. I think I got up to plus 109 on Custer there. So
okay, wow,
yeah. So yeah, check out Bet Rivers tonight, guys. I don't know when that boost is going away. So let us know in the chat too. Like, who you guys take? This is a little grudge match here, Elliot. We might do a little side wager. Maybe wager a case of lattes or something.
I've already got a win on one of those for an Austin Dillon finish somewhere that I've got covered my way, or we can call it good from a couple of weeks ago.
No, absolutely.
I like my chances there.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Cole Custer versus Parker Kligerman. Let us know who you got here. Like I said, I'll probably be getting in that AJ top 3 market as well. Anything else from you here, Elliot, for Xfinity before we close the door and look at some DFS tiers?
Yeah, so there's one other top 5 that I like, and it's from the car that's sitting next to me right here. Connor Mosack is back in the number 88. This is the front piece of the car from Chicago when he went out and ran, I think, 6th or 7th. I remember considering his top 5 there, not betting it.
Agreed.
Having one of those moments like I have at least once a week where I'm like, why the fuck didn't I bet this bet?
Every week.
I'm going to take the money out of my pocket. He didn't end up quite finishing there, but he's back in that 88, and it's not even Mosack as much as I believe in the 88. They're feeling good right now. They've got Connor Zilic on their side. He's gone out there and ran well. honestly, I feel like that running up front and running with competitive drivers, even Junebug at Bristol, that's a feel-good race, regardless of where he finishes, that he finished all the laps. The team's feeling good. I'm sure a lot of those guys are pumped to be going full-time. Mosak has some road course prowess, at least to the point where he can run well in a good car. And I think that a top 5 at 4-1, definitely worth a look. Just because, I mean, you've got your front runners, and then I think there's a lot of room between like 4th and 17th where you can see just a whole blender full of guys and a lot of variety in there.
Yeah, I don't mind Connor Mosak at all, man. It's a talented driver, and I think it's cool that, Junior continues to give talented people opportunities in this number 88 car. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
You're looking for stuff to blow money on in Xfinity, so there's another couple bucks. I definitely won't get as much as I spent on this piece down at JRM, but we'll be doing something cool with it soon. Can't believe it took me this long to actually get it in the background of the show, but I figured it out.
There you go. There you go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and round out the program here with little DFS tiers in our tire tiers. What do you say, Elliot?
Let's have a look. All right, so this week, driver-wise, we've got, of course, Allmendinger's in the 16, SVG's in the 13, Grala's in the 15, Josh Bilicki is in the 66, and I know it says on the sheet McLeod in the 78. I didn't catch him on the entry list.
No, that was
even
a typo.
If he is, that's all good. Even if he was in, I don't think we'd put him on the tiers anyway. I'll do respect to BJ. I don't think the road courses are his bread and butter.
No, Bilicki was always running those for Live Fast anyways. So, yeah, who do you think for the 101 here, man, this week? It's tough because you do have a bunch of guys up in the 10s that, that I think you can like. And, but honestly, I want to pivot here, but I'll give you the floor.
Man, I mean, the prices are steep. SVG's at 10.3, Larson 10.2, Allmendinger at 10. I still don't know how you don't put those three as the front three, maybe Byron in there too, but
why do you say that with Larson, man? Larson hasn't been good here since he won, though. Like, that's the thing with Larson. It's like, and he's also been like super hit or miss on road courses. Like, he was good at Sonoma. We cashed that bet earlier this season. But like, aside from that, and in Chicago Road before he wrecked out, he's been kind of mid.
I just think that with Larson, like, I get he's probably maybe not even an A at this price, like with his stats here. I get it. But he's in a good point situation. And we've seen, even with the super speedways, he's been able to pull out a good finish now. There's never a week where you can look at Kyle Larson and say he's not going to run up front, or he's not going to win me money, or he's not going to be worthy of a big price. It just doesn't happen. And that's why he's still the title favorite. As long as shit doesn't hit the fan in the round of 8, he's going to be in that championship 4 with another 3 guys who have a damn good chance of losing that championship to him. Just because the number 5 is the best car and he's the best driver out there, there's no room to fade him anywhere anymore. I mean, he ran up front all day and finished 3rd at Talladega last week, so you really can't even fade him at the super speedways anymore, probably.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's very fair point, and he is averaging 45 DraftKings points per race. That is number 1 in the series, so we'll throw him an A. You twisted my arm. We'll throw him in A, but
I don't think you put him ahead of either 2 college gyms, though.
No, I don't think we put him above William Byron, bro. William Byron's going for this fucking win, dude. William Byron finished 2nd here last year. William Byron could unload an absolute rocket here. So give me a little price differential there with Byron. I mean, it's not a huge gap, but I'll play Byron at 98 than Larson at 10-2 any day. I just will. So
that's true.
Who's the 101 then?
Right. Are we thinking Allmendinger with 300 less is going to be ahead of SVG, or I just did that backwards? Because I trust I said it because Dinger's in the 16.
Yeah, you're high on Dinger. I trust the car more, so let's go Dinger. Let's go Byron, and then let's throw your guy SVG up there as well. And then we can throw Larson up there. Is there anyone else you would even consider for the A's here? Because I wouldn't, honestly. Like, I don't. Tyler Reddick's been dog shit for DFS for like a month and a half now, going all the way back to literally September 8th. Last month he'd been dog shit. So I don't want Reddick. Bell, you could maybe argue, but 9 flat isn't a bad price for him. He's been running pretty hot lately. He's probably the only other guy I'd consider for this tier.
Yeah, that's understandable. You want to talk about force of habit, though. I realized in everything that I didn't share the tiers. So obviously you had the tiers up. I was over there putting the tiers up, and then I was like, wait a minute. I already have SVG up there. Why are you saying put them up there? And then as I was already dragging them up. But anyway, the tiers you can actually see. With Reddick, he hasn't been great lately, but I feel like the team's – it's one of those deals where you think they have to wake up and you think this is a track where they can run well, but also momentum's big. And if their momentum continues to backslide, Reddick hasn't been – he had a moment there where it looked like Reddick was going to be the dominant road course guy and take over from Chase.
Yep.
He's ran well, but it just hasn't quite happened the same way. Yep, maybe 9,300 and not being super road course spectacular, and the pressure. Tyler Reddick is a guy who, when he's under pressure, sometimes it can make that team crack. It can make him crack and it doesn't work out that well. If some shit goes down and hits the fan and he's knocked out after Sunday, it wouldn't surprise me. So
he started first here last year. He did unload a rocket. That's the only thing he has really going for him. And he did lead some laps the year before in that RCR number 8 car as well. So there is something to like about Reddick for all that I've been shitting on him. I know you and I are both riding that 15-1 championship ticket, hoping he can kind of pick it back up here. But yeah. I mean, we can throw him in the Bs. I think that's fine. I think he's a B driver. I don't like him more than Bell. And frankly, honestly, I would argue that, hey, dude, can we get some fucking Alex Bowman love? 8,100. I know I've been talking about him all damn day, but it'll probably be chalky. It's not going to get you a lot of leverage, I think, is the only argument against Alex Bowman at 8,100 not being the smash of the week here, Elliot.
No, I think the 48 and the 9 are easily the next two that go on the board. I would agree with you there.
Okay, 48. We'll go 9. Logano, 7,300. I like that a lot, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who...
I wasn't high on Logano, but you kind of talked me into it. And especially with, he'll have to try to put himself up front, 13 down. So...
yeah, 7,300. I think it's just, let's look at the guys around that. Probably Hamlin, 7,100. I trust Logano more. Cindric, Suarez, I trust Logano more. Blaney, MTJ, MTJ is 8,000. God damn. Come on.
Yeah, MTJ is not worth, I don't even know if we're going to put him on the board. Honest to God, I don't know if we're going to put him on the board. For the Bs, the only other, the big three that I can think of right now that probably your B minus, C plus, the 54, the 17, and the 34. Are all guys that I like probably next up.
I don't trust Michael McDowell on the ROVAL for whatever reason, so I'm going to throw him in the C's.
That works.
If you want Buescher for his consistency, that's fine. 9,100, it feels like a lot for a guy like Buescher who necessarily
I'm okay with the 17 in the C's and the 54 probably up in the B's, the 54 only being an 8,500, but continue.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I will say that Chris Buescher has looked good here just in general. As of late, he's been running very well. Looking here at the ROVAL specifically, since he's been with Roush 7th, 6th, 3rd, and 20th. So you could maybe if you want to go Buescher in the C's, that's fine as well. I think he's right on that line.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I put up the speed rankings again, and we've hit the top 10 or 11 right off the board here. So I think you almost wish there was the B and then the B minus and then the C, because I almost feel like the 17 and the 34 being grouped with some of these other guys they're going to be grouped with is going to be a little harsh to them. But I guess that's the way of the tire tiers.
I would also, just because I think he's going to no one's rostering him this week. I like Ryan Blaney, actually. I talked about it earlier. I think it was before you were on with me, Elliot. Ryan Blaney won this inaugural race over Jamie McMurray back in the day. I think that was
2018. You do remember the finish of that race, though?
Not a ton, honestly. No.
When I tell you the last corner, the top two, Martin Truex Jr.
I do. Yes, I do. Yes, okay, yes.
Crash out.
Okay,
he's right there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and the thing with Blaney too, dude, actually pretty good at Charlotte. Last year here at this track, he was 11th in the total speed ranking, 7th fastest, and actually at road courses this season as well. Ryan Blaney 9th in the total speed rankings, which that's surprising to me. And I think if I'm surprised and we're all kind of surprised about this, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. So give me a little Ryan Blaney 7,800 here for the C's as well.
Yeah, I like it because he's going to be a guy who, you're right, not a lot of people are going to look at him. He's in a decent enough point spot, plus 26, that I feel like he can kind of go either way in the race. And usually you play the middle, you get some stage points, you have a decent enough car, it'll put you in a good spot by the end.
Agreed. Who else do you think here for the C's? Because I feel like we just have a lot of overvalued guys that are kind of hard to get behind.
I think so. How far down? You got Suarez and Cindric 77 and 75. Like I said, their ROVAL stats not super spectacular. I understand if it's a bit of a reach.
Cindric, I'm fine with because he was running top 10 here last year before he got wrecked out, and he's just had better runs lately than Jimmy Suarez. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Cindric, I feel so bad. This is a guy who should be in the top 8. Honestly, like he got burned last week at Talladega, no fault to his own. So
Mhm.
I'll throw Cindric up here if we're gonna go Team Penske heavy here in the C's. I would maybe opt for. I'm hot. Maybe he's a D, high D. Noah Gragson. I like Gragson here. I think he's someone we talked on earlier. Was really competitive in Xfinity. Has been decent, like a mid-teen car at the road courses. Kyle Busch, he's at 8,300, which feels heavy. It feels
Yeah.
like a lot of people are going to be on Kyle Busch as well, just based on the chat. Yeah, Bob's screaming at us to put the 8 on the board and the 1.
Yeah,
So
the 8, I think it's time. The 1, I don't know where that's coming from, but
yeah,
I'm
we
okay
can.
with the 8 and the D's. I guess the 1, yeah, either or with the 8, and then the 1 probably in the D's.
Yeah, I mean Ross just I get it, man. Look, Bob, I think Bob was riding with us on that Chastain 30 to 3 to 1 that we had a couple weeks ago. He was top 10 here last year, so I get it. I get why you would like him. Just didn't really have a lot of speed that day though. Like he wasn't jumping
No,
off the charts.
the price is ridiculous for him too at 8,800. I just don't
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. So we'll go ahead we'll throw him here in the D's. It's more of a price situation for us. I think now we can start considering some of these other guys who've just been good at road courses lately who can give you a little price relief. We've talked about him here earlier in the show. Carson Hocevar, 6,100. I think he's a play this week. He was top 5. I think Zane Smith, I
Yeah.
got laughed off the show. I felt like a couple weeks ago when I was trying to recommend him for a higher tier, 5,800. These are both guys that I think deserve to be up here.
I would almost put Zane in the C's at that price, but I do agree they're definitely both D's. You can't ignore these guys, even though a little bit of it was strategy that put them up front. It was also strategy that put Busher and SVG up front, and we were not giving them any shit for it. So
Yeah. What about Bubba Wallace? He's been a guy who has had some good runs here, honestly, like better than you would think when you're kind of looking at what Bubba Wallace has done from just an average finish perspective. Hasn't necessarily always run super well in the stages here. Did have a runner-up in stage 1 last year at this track. Didn't have the best finish, but he does have a top 10 here, started 4th last year. So where's Bubba factor in for you here, you think?
I'm okay with him in the D's. I think Captain Dickhead's probably is a good place up there. If you did you see that clip of Booty Barker? And
Yes.
that's a good one. Booty Barker has been one of the most entertaining figures in the garage. He used to, when I was a kid, he used to do some appearances on Speed Channel back when he was working for like Michael Waltrip's team. Just one of the most entertaining guys in the garage. If you haven't seen that clip, Bubba Wallace is current of the red flag. They have a good time. He and Bubba and Booty and Freddie, they all have a great time there with that 23 team. And it's good for Bubba too to provide some actual analysis instead of just laughing about a funny clip.
Yeah.
There used to be a time when he was an embarrassment on road courses. He's done the work. The 23-11 team has gone out and done the work to be better at road courses. I'm sure bringing Reddick in the door and a guy like Kurt Busch in the door too definitely hasn't hurt. But it's nice that the 23 is not anywhere near an embarrassment at the road courses anymore.
Yep, agreed. Someone else I think we can throw in the Fs here is Austin Dillon. So this was super interesting early in the week, Elliot. I don't know if you caught this, but so Caesars yesterday was offering a bet for Austin Dillon over 14.5, which I was thinking about absolutely hammering because it was the over-under position prop. What do you want here? I was thinking about hitting the over on it, but then you actually look in his stat. Like he finished 14th last year. Stats at the Roval actually pretty good. For whatever reason, RCR kind of runs pretty good here. We saw it with Kyle Busch last year. We saw it with Reddick the year before when he was in that 8 as well. So I almost thought about Reddick. You could, or Austin Dillon. You could take him on that over 14.5, and then also hit him for an 8-1 top 10. And as long as he didn't get 11th, 12th, 13th, or 14th, you were making money somehow. And then, of course, Steve Letarte and our boy Alex Timms, they put that out as their bet of the week. I'm like, all right. And then, of course, Caesars goes right away and removes that. Just removes it because they knew they were getting fucking burned. So,
the way that they laid that out, too, was if you bet the Austin Dillon top 10 and then you bet that under, there were only 3 of the 38 finishing positions.
Over. You bet the over.
The over. Yeah, there were only like 3 of the 39 positions where you
but honestly, like those are 3 positions he could finish here. So that's like that's why I think he could honestly be on the board. That's why I honestly did not bet Did not bet that yesterday when I was looking at it because I was thinking about it. It was almost going to be my bet of the week, but I couldn't get behind it.
Yeah, that would be the most fucking Austin Dillon thing to ever happen.
Yeah, that's
there's 3 of 39 spots.
Yeah.
Just finish it. Don't finish 11th, 12th, or 13th. Then he'd run 12th and just fuck us all. I do think that we have to put the 11 and the 19 on the board. Truex's road course numbers. Again, this is almost an entirely different human being in the car than the guy who put up a lot of those road course numbers. But it's just anytime with a Gibbs car, I feel like you can't leave it off the board. Denny Hamlin is lucky as shit that he had the biggest one happen, because if you guys saw the stat before the big wreck, he was 17 below the cut line.
Yep.
And way back on the draft, he picked up some damage from that Blaney Bowman Chastain incident. Big wreck happens, he gets through it, he goes from minus 17 to plus 30 in one straightaway. And he's not a road course guy, but Denny Hamlin getting some luck on his side. Lord knows he's in, depending on what side you're on, for a lot of people, he's in favor in the court of public opinion right now, which has not been the case for Denny Hamlin for a long time. And to get some luck on the racetrack too. There have been a lot of years with Denny where he's been arguably the best driver out there and has not gotten that championship. In a year where he's kind of middled in the playoffs, couldn't end up in the round of 8 because of 3 early season wins and some general consistency. Maybe Hamlin decides to do it another way and end up maybe finally getting it done.
Yeah, the thing about Hamlin here, 7,100. It's a price that you have to consider him just based on the car and just based on his overall prowess of trying to avoid fuckery. However, I watched back that race this week from last year here at the Roval just because it was a little foggy in my memory, and this guy was a loose cannon, an absolute loose cannon on this track. I mean, he was spinning out left and right here. So, but I think he'll drive differently because he's in a different position here. You know what I mean? He's not trying to win this race. He's trying to advance the next round. So I don't mind you throwing him on the board there. John Hunter Nemechek is a guy I think who should be considered here as well. It's been a struggle bus for JHN. He's 30 plus in points. I mean, had a real hot start to the year. Has been decent for DFS lately. Had a runner-up finish here in Xfinity a few years ago as well. So I don't mind JHN here. I think he at least deserves to be ranked.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Legacy's general disrespect usually plays, but I'm okay with it there.
Briscoe too. I would say Briscoe's the only other guy I really give a shit about on this board. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. He's kind of in a case where he's not a super great road course guy. They don't race at the Indy road course anymore, and that was his only, his only bastion there. In terms, he has
one top 10 and 3 starts at the Roval so far in the Cup Series. So
yeah, it's just not going to be good enough. They're going to have to sell out for a win, and it's probably going to turn out badly. And we'll see the SHR feel good story end, but I guess maybe there's a play where it works in DFS. He ends up top 12, top 13, where he's nowhere close in points, but a respectable enough day in your lineup.
He's been qualifying really good. So just like if he does qualify up towards the front, I don't know how I feel about it, because if he is flipping stages or not flipping stages and going for the points and trying to point himself in somehow, because I mean, he's been qualifying top 5 all the time lately. Like he's unloaded really good speed, but I just worry that he could qualify well and then fall back by the end of the race. So that's the only thing with Briscoe. He's known for that. The only other guy I want to shout out is someone who did have an Xfinity Series top 5 here in the last 2 years. Any guess who it is still on the board based on all these guys?
Xfinity Series top 5 in the last 2 years on a road course. Are you going to throw Harrison Burton up there?
No HP. You're never. You could probably guess everyone on this board, Elliot. This would be the last guy you guess.
I don't think. Well, is it Barry? Just
Nope.
because Barry's been such shit here?
No.
The only other guy I'll guess is Balicki. And other than that, I'll let you put it up there.
Kaz fucking Gralla, baby.
Okay.
Kaz Gralla, 5,300. He's a little bit good of a road course racer, honestly. He's not bad. Like, this is kind of the one thing, like, you get Kaz Gralla in this car for this type of shit. So, yeah, give me a little Kaz here. He had that good run back in the Xfinity Series just a couple of years ago. So, I like Kaz.
Now that you mention it, too, I think he was a sub for, I think it was Austin Dillon Daytona road course. He had COVID. We used to run the Daytona road course in, like, August, right? I'm not making that up. Yeah, so I think.
I don't know. I thought we always ran the Daytona road course right after Daytona. Was he maybe was it maybe the Indianapolis road course you're thinking of?
Maybe. Since you're doing the tiers, I'll go ahead and look it up for us. But I do remember him jumping in the 3-car when Austin Dillon, I think he missed it because of COVID. And
Okay.
he had a respectable enough run. Let's figure out where that's at.
Yeah. I would maybe throw Justin Haley on the board too, just because he's in a little bit better of equipment now. We've seen the Spire Motorsports equipment do good at road courses as of lately. He's in that number 7 car. I think he deserves to be ranked.
Yeah.
However, he is a
Dave-
little bit pricey. 6,300. So, but he's he's had a good run lately. Scored 67 points for you last week. What'd you find out on our guy Kaz?
Well, so with Haley, I'm forgetting that he doesn't come up as one of those guys that's a great road course guy, but we always forget. At least I always forget runs like at that the Chicago street course where he was running down SVG and he was running those guys down. So he's a guy that definitely, especially because just Spire's in their best moment that they ever have been as a team, and it's only going to continue on the upswing. You really can't ignore them. Daytona Road Course race number 23 of the 2020 season. That's why it was in the summer, because the schedule was fucked that year because we had to take 2 months off. Started 10th, finished 7th, led 3 laps in the number 3 car.
Okay.
So
nice.
I respect it. That had completely gone out of my mind. Yeah. You throw Kaz Gralla plus road course equals random NASCAR memory from the 2020 season. That was the only good thing about that year, because that year sucked, as we all know.
Oh yeah. I don't want to
other than the fact that In Between was founded. And good NASCAR. 2020. There's a lot to forget about 2020, but we'll remember.
Last thing I'll say, because I don't want to just keep talking shitters here, but Josh Bilicki last year, it was in a different car. I don't know how we feel about this car, but he did start 37th, did finish 26th, so had a little bit of differential points for you. Little Jay Bilicki love.
Have we even seen the 66 finish a race this year?
I don't know.
I love that they're getting out there. They're doing the smart thing. They're running all different kinds of tracks when they can with drivers who know about the car. Because I know Carl alone gives a shit, and I know the guys in that garage give a shit. Yeah. And they don't want to go out there and have something break and not run other laps. They put guys like Bilicki or Timmy Hill, or even BJ did a race or 2 for them this year. They do that because they're trying to figure out how to make that car at least somewhat competitive in this era. So I respect them for that. Bilicki, I think, is going to run a Gibbs car in the Xfinity race. Yeah. So there's out for him there. Hopefully have a little feel good. I don't know if he'll get a top 5, but could be a decent enough run. And yeah, just for the sake of it, I'm okay with them rolling out the tail end of the tiers for the week.
We love you, Josh. We love you. Elliot, give us the one word on the rest of the guys.
Dude, it's not even worth it. At their place at the road courses, I mean, I know that people would want to see Keselowski ranked. There's just no value there. Todd Gilliland doesn't really run well at road courses. Sorry to Stenhouse, defending winner. He's not a road course guy. So I don't think any of these guys are even worth me wasting my breath.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But what is worth your breath, Elliot, is just you being here with us every single week on the back road. So we appreciate it, our friend. I should also appreciate everyone who hangs out with us here for about 90 minutes each and every Thursday night. We know we have Thursday night football that we're competing with head to head, but
the new NASCAR roundtable show that's on True TV and Max that I haven't gotten to watch yet because I'm always here, but appreciate those who tune into us. Make your money first. Go back and stream that later. Find out how you can make your money and then go listen to it.
Is that a NASCAR produced show?
Yeah, so it's part of the new Turner deal that they have. It's got, I know Bianchi does some stuff on it. I think Carl Edwards was on last week. I know Kyle Busch did it for a few weeks, but
okay.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone who sticks around. We know that some of you are only here for betting. Maybe some of you are only here for DFS. Maybe next year there could be a little split there. You could hear some more of us, just a little tease there. We haven't talked about anything in particular there. But regardless of what you watch for, whether you watch live, whether you watch back later in the week or in the weekend, we appreciate you tuning in. And we love your support of In Between Media. Seth, of course, lots of great things going on the site.
Yeah, man. First thing I want to shout out is our NASCAR DFS projections tool. Head over there to inbetweenmedia.com to load it up here this weekend. We'll have that updated after Cup Series practice and qualifying. Our guy Highline Betting has put that together for us. So really great tool. It's made me a better DFS player. I hope it makes you a better NASCAR DFS player as well. You can also check out all of our content over there, whether that's NFL, college football, NASCAR, PGA, We even have done a little bit of the DP World Tour for those golf degens out there. And we have a shit ton of entertainment content coming for you as well. So make sure you guys are staying connected with us. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Come back, support us, hang out, have a couple beer skis with us. Guys, I appreciate everyone. Elliot, great time rolling down the back road with you, my friend.
No doubt about it. Always a great time. And remember that like, that subscribe, that comment, it can enter you into giveaways. You know, a couple times a season, we'll give away stuff. I've got a box sitting downstairs that's ready for the next giveaway. So
Black Friday's coming soon too.
Yeah, we can get one more giveaway done even before that, before the end of the year. It is primed and ready to go. So we can get you one more in the playoffs here. But regardless of whether you like junk we send you or not, or little hats that we get from when we go to the races, we're thankful for you as an audience, thankful for you sticking by us and rolling on down the back road with us every Thursday night. Going to be a good weekend at the Roval. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll see you next time.